Good morning, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. First item is approve the agenda. And there is a change. We're going to remove item number 10. We'll just do it at the next meeting. So I need a motion to approve the agenda, removing item 10.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes of September 17th, 2024 board meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tax suspension under Iowa Code, section 427.8. This is one we've done in the past. All three of them are. We need a motion to approve.
I'm just looking at this. This is the Webster one.
I don't know what order they're in. There's one on Webster, one on Greenwood. And
Motion to approve the Webster. I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tax suspension under Iowa Code 427.8.
This is Elmdale. I'll approve that. Second.
And I believe this is actually the first time we've done this when I got that information. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And tax suspension under Iowa Code 427.8. This is on Glenwood.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request for Greater Atonement Partners in Progress to open for annual dues in the amount of $13,000. This is something we had budgeted as $10,000. It's been $10,000 for several years. Mark Rowe at our last meeting spoke and requested a slight increase up to $13,000. So, pleasure of the board.
Could we discuss this just a little bit briefly?
That's what we're here for.
Thank you. I have no problem with the 13, but I've done a little research on surrounding counties, and we're really low compared to surrounding counties, even though the surrounding counties are smaller than us. Last year, when they presented to us, they requested, I think, a $35,000 number, and we're stuck with 10. I'm thinking I would like to propose we do like 18,000. That's not a huge increase over this, but it's a little bit more of an increase. They have, I think, performed adequately based on their performance. And I also would suggest that we do this from the standpoint of the sales tax that was passed. If that hadn't passed, I'm not sure I'd be saying this, but with that passing, it gives us a little more ability to do some of these things. And I think last year we spent a little more money on some other projects that we're not spending on this year. So with all that in mind, I would like to maybe propose the 18,000. However, I'd like to get the other opinions of you two or the audience.
This doesn't come out of local option tax. This comes out of the general fund. And Kelly, can you explain, because I've asked in the past why we don't pay this out of local option tax since it's an economic development?
I guess I really don't have an answer for you. I know you're still in our audit. We contributed to another, I can't remember if it was, somebody else that wanted money from us, and we had been paying it out of local option sales tax, and when they did the audit, we had to pay that money back to local option sales tax out of the general fund. It's really not like a capital improvement like what we have.
Okay. Now, I suggested in the past that, and I always stand by this, that we give the 10,000 or the 13,000, whatever it may be, and then if there's other projects like Helgerson Flats that we were partner on, or the Alta Vista property, the county's put some money in with that. that local option money, then that becomes economic development capital projects that we can then put that in with it. And yes, maybe call it makes it more responsible to our general fund budget.
So I like that approach too, and I agree with doing it that way. So I like that.
Like that. It's a good idea to have a meeting with the city next week. Going over incentives to draw businesses against the new homes bill.
Perhaps we could participate in that. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I had a meeting with Kelly Jenners and Mark and some other people last week, and in reference to the Alta Vista property, almost making it like site certified, like with Helgerson Flats in a sense. And I think that's something that, again, as local option sales tax dollars being approved for, I think that's something, again, if it's $15,000 or $20,000, that puts all combined, say it's $50,000 and split it up however we want to do it. I think that's definitely something that the county should be a part of, to be that part. So, there could be $10,000 or $15,000 right there that we could be a part of, economic development wise, housing wise, which it all goes hand in hand. So,
Yeah, I would just like to say that at the 13, and I think one of the reasons Mark only increased it to 13, if he was talking more, was because all the other projects we're trying to work with the city on to draw some more business and get some adequate housing. So we have other investments to make, hopefully. So I would make a motion to approve the 13.
I'll second it.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 47, 2024, temporary road closure and detour. Brad?
With the railroad crossing improvements going on in the county, we're having constant contact with them. We were expecting them to start imminently on the location that we proposed there on Highway D37, Agency Hedrick Road. It should be relatively small time frame, 3 or 4 days, but it was going to exceed 48-hour limit in the code that requires a detour to be established. So we tried to approach this in the fashion of not knowing for sure when they're going to start, because they tend not to communicate that well. Plus, they have unknowns with other crossings that they're working on, how long they're going to take. So, but this seems to be something that could start this week sometime and take roughly 4 days for them to work.
I heard on radio was closed today.
Well, there again, they haven't communicated that with us, but we did let them know we're going to try and get this paperwork through the official process.
Well, it's not unusual that they don't communicate.
I'm so sorry.
I'll move to approve detour.
Second.
Any discussions or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Personnel request for payroll approval, new hire, part-time dispatcher. Don, you want to kind of speak on this a little bit? Yeah.
So we had a dispatcher resign here, and part-time person's a PD dispatcher, just to fill in on days where there'd be overtime for us. And then once we get somebody hired and up and running, then this position will no longer be used, just to cover the overtime that's we have.
This is basically the same thing we talked about. We would use the other girl for, right?
Yes, the other girl that was resigning and taking another job, she was going to fill in part-time, but the schedule wasn't working for it was benefiting us, so we went to some of the PD dispatchers to talk to them, and this individual's voiced some interest in it.
Perfect. Good job. Questions for Don? Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recording fee modernization presentation.
So last week, you guys should have all gotten an email from ISAC. What this is in regards to is the Iowa County Recorders Association, along with ESS, which is the governing board for Iowa Land Records, is going to be approaching the legislators this year and proposing a fee modernization for our recording fees. Our recording fees were last taken a look at in 1985. So we've been charging the same in recording fees for almost 40 years. Needless to say, my office runs at a deficit because of that. The proposal is that we simplify our recording fees, because that's one of the hardest things for me to teach my staff and my stakeholders is recording fees, because they're so what they feel are complex. The goal is to get it simplified and to make our recording policies more modern and more user-friendly. The proposal is to simplify it to $10 per page. Right now, for a one-page document, it's $7, so that's a small increase of $3. The majority of my documents are probably 1 to 2 pages, so it'll be anywhere from a $3 increase to a $13 increase. Along with that, we're looking at modernizing our document formatting, so we're going to be doing some tweaking on the rules that we have for getting documents recorded. Right now, if a customer prepares their own document and it doesn't meet the code standards, we can charge a non-conforming fee. They're going to do away with that. And then they're also going to make it so that we would just reject the documents. We wouldn't give them an option. They're going to remove our $1 records management fee and give us, they're basically going to move that dollar over into what we call our they're going to rename it an electronic technology fee. So basically we have an RMA, which is our records management. That's my dollar that I keep, and the code is very specific on what I can spend it on. But basically it's to keep the records in my office, doing digitization on the books, doing book repair, purchasing anything that would help me keep my records the way that they are and to maintain them. So that would basically double and would expand how we can use it. We could also incorporate training, so I could send my staff to training, and it would be taken out of that instead of my another line item in my budget. They're going to redo, out of that $10, redo how we also do some other stuff. They're going to do that $2 to the records management. And then $3 will go to Iowa Land Records. Right now, they get $1. So that will, for those of you that aren't familiar with Iowa Land Records, that was established in 2005 by the Iowa County Recorders Association. And it was because of a push by the Bar Association to take our records. We would still record them in our office, but all of the records would go to the Secretary of State and they would be the main depository. And in order for us to not have that happen, a bunch of recorders came together and created Iowa Land Records so that we would have a state repository for all of our documents. So that's how Iowa Land Records came to be. It's governed by the ESS board, which is a group of recorders. We have representatives from Iowa Title Guarantee. There's a bar association, and bankers, all of our stakeholders have a say in how Iowa Land Records is ran. They're also looking at, we pay our records management fee to the state treasurer. They want to revamp that so that that money can go straight to Iowa Land Records instead of going through the secretary or the state treasurer. So it's just a shifting of the funds, but they're also needing it so that we can expand the services that Iowa Land Records does. So they want to be able to have us, right, currently you can go and register as a user and you can search any county in the state. But they want to make it so that it has a notification system. So if you go out there and you're an Iowa Land Records user, you can sign up for a notification. So if something comes through with your name on it, you get a notification that this document was recorded in this county, and you can go and take a look at it. It's a deterrent for property fraud. But in order for them to do that, they need funds to hire developers, and that's part of this legislation, is that we want to increase the services that Iowa Land Records can provide. What this would look like for our county, there was a fee sheet attached to that printout. Based on, if we average 4 pages, they're estimating that it's close to $60,000 going into our general fund. If we average 4.5, it's closer to 83,000. I ran some figures based on last year's recordings, so you have some actual figures because these are just estimates. Based on the recording that we did for 23-24, it would mean an increase in just the recording fees of a little over 31,000. If you take into consideration the additional records management, which would be the new technology fund, that's another $4,624. I pay a maintenance fee every year to Iowa Land Records, which they in turn pay to my provider, which is Solutions. We would no longer be paying that out of our pocket. That would come out of the fees that Iowa Land Records would be receiving. So that would save me another roughly $2,300 out of my budget that I would no longer have to pay. So if we're looking at an increase of about $38,000 based on last year's figures. Now, my recording is dependent on the economy. So right now our recording is down. But even with that little increase, that pays for my part-time employee and part of my other one. So, and then it gives me an increase in my records management, which would mean, like I said, I could send my staff, I can do a lot more maintenance on my books because my older books are really needing it. We're in the planning stages right now, so we are doing meetings with the Iowa Bar Association, Iowa Land Title Association. I'm meeting with the local realtors and that type of stuff, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. So we're going to start pushing this. So if anybody asks you questions, if you're aware of it, I just wanted to get you the information and just make you aware of it. And if you had any questions.
When would this go into effect?
They are shooting for July 1st of next year.
But it would have to be approved by the legislature.
It does have to, it all has to go through the legislature because we're making code changes for the fees, some of the fees that are collected, well, all of these fees are collected through the code section. So it'd be code changes that we're making.
Is there anything that we can do to help the process happen?
If you would just share information, once, I'll pass it on. ISAC is behind this. This is one of the initiatives that's going to be later this year when you get the list to vote on. If you would vote for this one, and that's a big thing right there. Just if anybody has any questions, filter them my way so I can discuss it with them. If you get a chance to talk to legislators, just ask them if they're aware of this. If they're not, send them to my way so I can promote it. Or just mainly I'm asking for you guys to be aware of it, and if you have any questions, or I think it's a good thing. It's going to put money in our coffers. So
When looking like the comparison between other states, even raising this to the $10 still puts us in line with Nebraska. And then we're talking from Minnesota to Arkansas and Michigan to Nebraska, Kentucky. You know, a lot of these are well over $20 now.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's still definitely behind the times with things. And as you said, the inflationary costs and people and everything with us. So definitely something that would help.
Yep.
That's my observation is maybe the 10 is not enough to ask for based on, you gotta go to the legislature every time you change your fees. It's not gonna happen every year as you've seen.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we didn't
But-
want to appear greedy,
yeah,
and the staff at Iowa Land Records put a lot of time and effort into. They did a survey of all of the stakeholders, everybody that's a registered user of Iowa Land Records. So that would be banks, attorneys, realtors, anybody that had, abstractors, anybody that had a user ID. They sent a survey around, and one of the things that they asked is, would you support a reasonable increase in fees? And that was 79% that said yes. So reasonable, we can justify this. You get too out of whack, you can't justify it, and people won't support it. So they've done a lot of research behind this, and they felt that was
good
reasonable.
number.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and it's easy to calculate.
And it'll make some positive changes to your budget.
Yes, yeah. So that's what we're trying to do. And I've talked to the two legislators here, and they seem to be pretty receptive of it. We haven't sat down and crunched numbers or anything, but we've approached them, and they were, I've gotten positive responses from them. So hopefully, we can get more. If all of the recorders statewide talk to their legislators and get them on board with it, I think we have a good chance. But we just want to get the word out and get support going for it.
Very good. Anything else? Any questions? for Lisa? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
guys.
Other business to come before the board. Jared?
Yeah. All right. So I'm Jared Hirschberger with Dusty Fox Wind. I know we've had conversations with Mr. Morgan and Mr. Ziegler, potentially about a path forward. I don't know. We haven't had a chance to speak with Mr. Batterson yet. I think, Mr. Morgan, that you talked with the other Jared and Corey about potentially doing a work session. And we have some potential other options we could go through too. I know we could, we were talking with some attorneys that we work with about maybe potentially doing a development agreement, which would kind of lock us into a structure that would, hold us accountable, protect the landowners. So I think we've got some ways of moving forward. I was just curious if you guys had a chance to get that set. I have a couple of our developers that are going to come from out of state. A lot of us do live and work in Iowa, but I do have a couple of developers that would like to come and join us for that meeting that are out of state. So I just wanted to make sure that they had a heads up if that is a direction, if that is, an option that we're looking at. Hopefully, if you guys are looking at, we could do that somewhat relatively soon.
Yeah, we haven't set a meeting yet.
Okay.
It won't be this week for sure. So if we can put something together next week, I'm fine with
For
that.
in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay.
If we maybe do something after our meeting in a couple weeks or something.
Okay. I will. Should I go ahead and let them know that is that a tentative date or is that something you guys?
Tentative right now.
Okay. So what I'll do is touch base with you, Brian, maybe next week sometime,
Yep.
and we'll just to confirm it.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I think that's all I have for you guys today.
Could I ask, do you have a draft of any of this development agreement that you spoke of?
No, and I think that's something we would have to work on together. Yeah, it's not going to come one side. It's not going to come just from us. It'll be, and I think we could have examples of things. I've not gone through this process before, so I'm not exactly sure all it entails. But it would be similar. It would be similar to an ordinance, but it would, in the sense that would be giving us our responsibilities and our rights, and then also, protecting the landowners, both participating and non.
I'm really interested in that idea because I think we could put some protection in there for both of us.
Yeah, I think that's another avenue we can pursue, and I think it's something. If we could sit down, I think we could probably work something out there. It was something, and I don't know. I'm still not sure about the process. I think we'd still have to go through the BOA, maybe for the special condition permit, but the attorneys were kind of unsure about that. So I think there's other details that have to be figured out. But I think
I'm not sure we can do anything until it turns to our comp plans.
well, we could there are other options we could pursue. It is up to you guys to decide whether you want to pursue them or not.
Says we can deviate. I'm not in any way gonna deviate.
It's not. It wouldn't be an ordinance. That would be the difference. So.
Well, in between then and now, we'll follow up with attorneys in the city.
Okay.
What?
And I'll check back into you
What
guys.
are those?
I'll just give you a call next week. Then,
That'd be
Brian.
fine.
Great.
Yep,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Any other business to come before the board?
Yes.
Chad, you have a question?
So you kind of alluded to it earlier about the Alta Vista project, and I know the county is kind of a partner with Legacy and the city and other entities. So it's been, about a year or so since they all bought that property, pretty close to it.
Yeah, I think we did that at the beginning of this year.
Okay.
So, yeah,
It's
you're
been several,
over 6 months.
several months anyway. Where do things stand with that? Is that still?
Well, we're still looking and trying to see if there's any attractive developers in that area. It's definitely an area that we look at as we want to see it as good quality homes, non-workforce housing. I guess probably the best way to say that. $300,000 homes, and we have worked with a developer that was done some stuff in Pella and up in Pleasant Hill on that, but the numbers didn't quite work for them. And, there's a lot of studies that show that it costs 50% more to build a home in Wapello County than it does in Polk County, which I don't understand all those numbers. But there's evidently some type of truth to it because, shortly after the property came under our control as a group, there was RFQs sent out, upwards of 50 of them, and we got one back, and it didn't match what we wanted that to look like in that neighborhood. So we continue to work with it to see what type of incentives for home builders could go there, what type of things using TIF dollars, because that area is already TIF, as far as putting infrastructure into the area and building a road into it, putting the sewer lines, water lines, what's the cost of all that. So that's a little bit of what we're looking at right now, working with like a Garden Associates or something like that to get a detailed number. Because really right now we don't have a good idea. You got a rough idea, but what would it cost for the city, county, GoFed, all the partners involved to get this site, as I said, almost site ready, so people could come in and start building houses? Would that attract more developers? Is that something that'd be cost effective for them to invest in this area?
Yeah. So is that just basically a bare piece of ground that it has none of those infrastructure?
There's sewer on the Alta Vista side, and I think the Vanessa side of that. So, there's some other infrastructure there when the hospital was there, but there's going to have to be a lot of new stuff ran into that.
So do you know when you might be able to see, I don't want to say shovels in the ground or anything, but significant movement in a plan as far as that's still way up?
It's all up here, and really right now is the last thing I want to do, and I think the last thing our whole group wants to do, or anyone up here, is to just put something on that, just say we put something on it. I mean, we want housing that fits the neighborhood, that enhances the neighborhood, that's good for that area. And frankly, we need that type of housing in our area. We have a lot of leakage, it's called, of people, young professionals that live or work in Wapello County that are living in Davis County or Mahaska County or Keokuk County because of the lack of quality housing here. So, you guys want to add?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we meet with the city Tuesday. Try to develop some of these areas and see what it takes. Just the sewer is unbelievable cost.
So did you guys, when you guys did, go in with the other parts of the group to buy it, did you kind of figure it was gonna take a while before you could really, get some hard numbers or some sort of a plan that,
Well, I think we went into it hoping that, sending these RFPs out, that we would have a developer come in and say, we want to invest in it. And if this wasn't something that we got back, so then that changed kind of the whole scope of what it was. And then, as you said, a couple months ago, another developer popped up that thought maybe there was going to be a possibility of that. Since then, it wasn't anything on the side of the city, the county go come in like that. It seemed like they had too many shovels maybe in the ground of some other projects, and it wasn't going to fit into their timeline to start anything in its humble right now. So, it's something that, maybe a year down the road, if nothing's in place, that maybe something they come back to with it. But yeah, it's kind of not necessarily changed, but we were hoping we'd get someone in a little misogynist and different things, and some abatement or some tip dollars going into it. We could get that investment. It didn't happen, so we're gonna have to get a little more strategic with it and get the land ready in a sense possible.
but I guess at least, the positive is that the land is under local control and you're not at somebody else's mercy of having to build on it.
Absolutely. I don't like being in the real estate business as a county or a city or anything along those lines, but there's definite value in it. And I think there's value in a piece of land like that we do have a little bit of say, a lot of say in what that development looks like. So that's all. Yep. Okay, conservation.
So, yeah, approach the bench. Sorry. I wasn't prepared to speak right now. So I know there's been. Do I need to turn this on?
Yeah, and you need to pull it up closer to me so that.
Sorry.
That's okay.
This is out of my comfort zone. I'm in the office. Okay. So I know there's been some questions about the Destination Iowa grant and the funding that is within that budget line. Does that sound correct? So I know the county, it's like a 60-40 grant. The county was gonna put forward, I think it's like 600 and some thousand, and then Destination Iowa gave us a $500,000 grant. The issue we're running into right now is we have to 100% finance the grant to be reimbursed. So we just got a big chunk from our contractors. It's like a $346,000 claim, and I know there's not money in that account right now to cover it. So I just don't know how we want to proceed and move forward, because the contractors are calling me, wanting to know when this is going to be paid.
So the 600,000 the county already gave out of the ARPA funds.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that 600?
So we have
Has that been spent?
Yes.
All of it.
It looks like right now, Brittany.
Brittany, 270,000 of it is left, but not enough to cover the.
So we'll need to use, my opinion, we use the rest of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll have to cover, there'll have to be a budget amendment done.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, jump in any time. There'll have to be a budget amendment done. You've already submitted your first reimbursement from
I-
Destination
I
Iowa?
did on
correct?
August 13th.
Okay, so you'll get something back from them probably in December,
Okay.
probably
Forever.
not that long. But, so, the other project in town, we submitted stuff in June,
Yeah.
end of June, beginning of July. They sent back other things that needed, correct? You went through all that.
Yes. Yeah.
And we just yesterday got the notification that it was approved.
Proves. Yeah.
Now, when we get the check, I don't
Don't know. Yeah.
So that'll be a good barometer, hopefully maybe next
Yeah.
week, because that's, for us, a $300 or $400 and some $1,000 check.
Yeah. Because
that comes in.
I almost have our second reimbursement ready to submit, but it came back with our first reimbursement. We have to have copies of front and back of checks. So I can't submit for our second reimbursement until this claim gets paid to send them the copy of the check. So we're kind of at like a
So
standstill.
just to kind of fill everyone in on this Destination Iowa grant, what originally we looked at it being was, say, $1 million project. So the county is putting in 600,000, Destination Iowa was going to do 400,000. Simple math. We thought, okay, you're going to get $400,000 and the project's going to be done. The state said not so fast. Of course, it's running through a company in, I believe, South Carolina. Now it's not even through the state because they contract with someone else to administer the grant. And they said, and I'm going to speak for the sports facility, 23% of that project is coming from Destination Iowa funds. So therefore, if you submit in that project $1 million worth of claims, they're going to cut you a check back for $230,000. So it's one of those, you get the money, but you're going to have the money up front, which in our case, we have the construction loan all set up and ready, which you guys don't have. But it's really made it a huge cash flow issue for not just our projects, but projects all around the state. So we're not alone. You're not alone in the process with this.
Yeah.
So we'll just, Kelly, budget amendments, and then as that money comes back in at the end of the project, and hopefully it all is pretty well closed up by budget time next year, that we'll see the revenue on that side of it. I mean, there's about to be an amendment on the revenues. Well, you won't do the revenue, but right, but the revenue will be there to cover that. We're just covering it in the front side.
Right, so I would say that like whenever you guys get the revenue from,
Mhm.
when it's all said and done, then whatever the county has paid over the $600,000, then we need to put it back into the fund that we're giving you the extra money to pay the bills on.
Yeah, and I have the check set up to come to the auditor's office.
Okay.
So whenever I get the okay, it's going through then, because I think I did all the corrections like a month ago and I still haven't heard anything. So
What was the total of that project?
1.2 million.
1.2.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully by the time your next big claim run, you're getting close to the time of that reimbursement,
Yeah,
and we could use that. And then when your next reimbursement, then that.
yeah, and I'm more than happy to like email you guys and keep you up to date on the process of everything. That's probably easiest for everyone, so I can do that too.
No, it'll be fine. We'll get through it.
Thank you.
Where do you know where transferring in from?
You just have to be out of the general fund, right, Kelly?
Right. So the basic, I'm assuming you have some line items in your, or I mean, you could go over your, the 600,000 that you have budgeted.
Mhm.
And then we'll do the budget amendment on that line, just so you guys can track all your expenditures.
Mhm.
But then once you guys get the money, then we'll just put that back into the general fund.
You just tell me what to do and I'll do
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Very good. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Before we do that, I want to remind everyone, this is the 50th anniversary of the Ottumwa Oktoberfest, kicking off tonight. Something we haven't done in the past, open up on Tuesday, so go get your Rotary Chicken barbecue, bring it over. Ted Stockton starts playing at 5. The tappers will be flown. There won't be brats for sale tonight. We're not going to compete with Rotary, but feel free to come over, try the new Ottumwa Oktoberfest beer created especially for for that event, and a lot of music and other activities throughout the week, and the parade on Saturdays. So 50 years has been a long time, and I think we're going to do a little delivering of the first keg this afternoon with the help of the sheriff's office, and so we're ready to get it kicked off and rolling. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.